Have you ever stopped to think about the hidden dangers lurking in the one place you feel safest? Your kitchen. That warm, familiar space where you prepare meals, gather with loved ones, and start your day with a cup of coffee might actually be exposing you to invisible threats that could be affecting your health right now. I'm talking about radiation. And before you think this sounds too alarming or far-fetched, stay with me, because what I'm about to share could genuinely protect you and your family. The truth is, as we get older, our bodies become more sensitive to environmental hazards. The natural repair mechanisms that helped us bounce back from exposures in our younger years start to slow down. Our cells don't regenerate as quickly, our immune systems aren't as robust, and toxins that we once cleared efficiently now linger longer in our systems. This makes understanding and minimizing radiation exposure in our daily environment especially critical for those of us in our golden years. Now, radiation is one of those things we can't see, smell, or taste. It works silently, accumulating its effects over months and years. You might experience subtle symptoms like persistent headaches, unexplained fatigue, trouble sleeping, or a general sense of not feeling quite right, without ever connecting these issues to the appliances and materials you interact with every single day. That's why awareness is so powerful. Once you know what to look for, you can take simple, practical steps to create a safer kitchen environment. Let's start with something almost everyone has: the microwave oven. For decades, microwaves have been a convenient staple in American kitchens, and when they're working properly and well maintained, they're generally safe. But here's what many people don't realize. As microwaves age, the protective seals around the door can wear down. The door latches can become loose or damaged. These small deteriorations create gaps that allow microwave radiation to leak out into your kitchen while the appliance is running. Think about where your microwave sits. Is it at chest or head level? Do you stand right in front of it, watching your food heat up? If your microwave is more than 10 years old, or if you've noticed the door doesn't close as firmly as it used to, you could be exposing yourself to electromagnetic radiation every time you use it. This type of exposure has been linked to headaches, dizziness, and in more serious cases, tissue damage over prolonged periods. The good news is, this risk is entirely manageable. First, inspect your microwave carefully. Check the door seal for any cracks, warping, or food buildup that might prevent a tight closure. Make sure the latches click firmly into place. If you're unsure about your microwave's integrity, you can purchase an inexpensive radiation detector online or have a professional test it. And honestly, if your microwave is showing its age, replacing it with a modern model that meets current safety standards is one of the smartest investments you can make for your health. When you do use your microwave, step back at least 3 feet while it's operating. Those few extra feet significantly reduce your exposure. Now let's talk about lighting. If you still have those old fluorescent light fixtures in your kitchen, the ones with the long tubes that sometimes flicker or take a moment to fully brighten, we need to discuss what's really happening there. Older fluorescent bulbs emit low levels of ultraviolet radiation. You might think of UV exposure as something that only happens outdoors in the sun, but these older bulbs produce it too, especially as they age and the protective phosphor coating inside begins to deteriorate. But the UV radiation is actually just part of the problem. The ballasts in older fluorescent fixtures, particularly those installed before the 1980s, often contain polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs. These are toxic chemicals that were widely used in electrical equipment before we understood how dangerous they are. When these old ballasts begin to fail, they can leak PCBs into your kitchen air. You might notice a strange smell or see an oily residue around the fixture. Exposure to PCBs has been linked to liver damage, immune system problems, and increased cancer risk. Additionally, the flicker from aging fluorescent lights, even when it's so subtle you don't consciously notice it, can cause eye strain, headaches, and fatigue. For seniors, this can also accelerate vision problems like cataracts. The solution here is wonderfully straightforward. Switch to LED lighting. Modern LED bulbs are not only far more energy efficient, saving you money on electricity, but they emit no UV radiation, contain no toxic chemicals, and provide steady, comfortable light without any flicker. The upfront cost is minimal compared to the long-term health benefits and energy savings. You can make this change room by room if needed. But the kitchen should be your priority, since you likely spend significant time there each day. Here's something that might surprise you. Those beautiful granite countertops that add such elegance to your kitchen could be emitting trace amounts of radioactive gases. Granite is a natural stone, and some varieties contain small amounts of radioactive elements like uranium, thorium, and radium. As these elements break down naturally over time, they release radon gas. Now, before you panic, understand that most granite countertops emit very low levels of radon, and the risk is generally minimal. However, if you have large expanses of granite, if your kitchen has poor ventilation, or if the particular variety of granite you have happens to be higher in radioactive content, radon can accumulate to levels that matter for your health. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking, and it's completely odorless and invisible, so you'd never know it was there without testing. If you have granite countertops and you've never tested for radon, this is something worth doing, especially if your countertops were installed many years ago before radon became a well-known concern. You can purchase a simple radon test kit at most hardware stores for around $20. Place it in your kitchen according to the instructions, usually for several days. Then mail it to the lab for analysis. If your results show elevated radon levels, don't worry. The solution might be as simple as improving ventilation in your kitchen, using exhaust fans more regularly, or in some cases, applying a sealant to the granite. Knowledge is power here. Testing removes the uncertainty and lets you take action if needed. Let's move on to cookware, specifically those convenient non-stick pans that make cleanup so easy. There are actually two concerns with non-stick cookware that many people aren't aware of. The first involves the coating itself. Traditional non-stick coatings, when they get old and start to chip or flake, can release toxic chemicals when heated. Some of these chemicals have been linked to thyroid problems, immune system disruption, and even certain cancers. If you have non-stick pans where the coating is visibly damaged, those need to go immediately. But there's a second, less obvious issue. When you use non-stick cookware on electric or induction stovetops, electromagnetic fields are generated. These EMFs are different from the microwave radiation we discussed earlier, but they're still a form of radiation exposure. The strength of these fields depends on your cookware and your stovetop. But when you're standing at the stove, cooking for extended periods, you're in close proximity to this electromagnetic energy. Some research suggests that chronic EMF exposure can contribute to headaches, sleep disturbances, and cellular changes over time. For seniors who may already be dealing with sleep issues or frequent headaches, reducing EMF exposure can sometimes make a noticeable difference in how you feel. The good news is that there are excellent alternatives to non-stick cookware. Stainless steel is durable, non-reactive, and emits no chemicals or enhanced electromagnetic fields. Cast iron, when properly seasoned, provides a naturally non-stick surface and actually adds beneficial iron to your food. Ceramic-coated pans offer easy cleanup without the concerns of traditional non-stick coatings. Yes, these alternatives might require a bit more oil and slightly more attention while cooking, but the trade-off for your health is absolutely worth it. Now, I want to address something that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now, something so common that most people never think twice about it. I'm talking about your cordless phone and your wireless router. These devices emit radio frequency radiation continuously, not just when you're actively using them. The wireless signals they send and receive are a form of electromagnetic radiation. And because kitchens are often the central hub of the home, these devices frequently end up placed right where you spend most of your time. Think about it. Is your cordless phone base station sitting on your kitchen counter? Is your wireless router on a shelf nearby? If you have a habit of sitting at the kitchen table to read, pay bills, or chat with friends while that cordless phone or router is just a few feet away, you're receiving constant exposure to radio frequency radiation. And here's the thing. This type of radiation doesn't turn off. Your router is broadcasting 24 hours a day, and cordless phone base stations maintain their connection to the handset even when no one's making a call. Research into the long-term health effects of this type of radiation exposure is ongoing, but we do know that some people are more sensitive to it than others. Symptoms can include headaches, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, and sleep disruption. Seniors, whose cellular repair mechanisms are already working less efficiently, may be particularly vulnerable to these effects accumulating over time. The solution doesn't mean giving up modern conveniences. It just means being smarter about placement. Move your wireless router out of the kitchen and away from areas where you spend extended periods of time. A hallway closet or a corner of a home office works well. If possible, turn your router off at night when you're sleeping and not using the internet anyway. For your cordless phone, consider switching to a corded phone for your main kitchen line, or at least move the base station to a less trafficked area of your home. Use your cordless handset when you need mobility, but don't let the base station sit right where you eat breakfast every morning. These small adjustments cost nothing and can significantly reduce your daily radiation exposure. Finally, let's talk about something that might be sitting in your cabinet right now, something that holds sentimental value and memories but could be quietly putting your health at risk. I'm referring to vintage ceramic dishware, especially pieces with bright, vibrant glazes in colors like orange, red, yellow, or certain shades of green. Before strict regulations were put in place in the 1970s and 80s, ceramic manufacturers sometimes used uranium oxide and other radioactive materials in their glazes to achieve these vivid, beautiful colors. These vintage pieces, particularly items made before 1970, can emit measurable levels of radiation. Now, a single plate that you use occasionally probably isn't cause for major concern, but if you have a complete set of vintage dishes that you use regularly, or if those pieces are chipped or cracked, which allows easier migration of radioactive materials into your food, the cumulative exposure adds up. Remember, radiation exposure is cumulative. Small amounts over long periods can eventually matter for your health. Additionally, some vintage ceramics contain high levels of lead and cadmium in their glazes, which are toxic heavy metals that can leach into acidic foods and beverages. For seniors, whose kidneys and liver may not filter toxins as efficiently as they once did, this adds another layer of concern. If you have vintage ceramic dishware that you love, here's what I recommend. Keep it for display purposes only. Showcase those beautiful pieces in a cabinet or on a shelf where they can be admired but not used for food service. For everyday meals, invest in modern dishware that meets current safety standards. Contemporary ceramic manufacturers must comply with strict regulations regarding lead, cadmium, and radioactive materials, so new dishes are far safer. If you're unsure about whether your vintage pieces are safe, you can purchase a Geiger counter or lead testing kit online to check them. But honestly, when it comes to something you use to eat and drink from every single day, erring on the side of caution is the wisest choice. I know this might feel overwhelming. You've just learned that 6 common items in your kitchen could be exposing you to various forms of radiation and toxins. But here's the empowering part. Unlike so many health issues where we feel helpless or where solutions are complicated and expensive, these are problems you can actually do something about. The steps I've outlined are practical, affordable, and well within reach for most people. Start with the easiest changes first. Replace those old fluorescent bulbs with LEDs. Inspect your microwave and either repair or replace it if needed. Move your wireless devices away from your main living areas. Retire your vintage dishes from food service. Then, as the budget allows, consider upgrading your cookware and testing for radon if you have granite countertops. You don't have to do everything at once. Even making 1 or 2 of these changes will reduce your exposure and benefit your health. Remember, the goal isn't to create fear or anxiety. The goal is awareness and empowerment. Your kitchen should be a place of nourishment, comfort, and safety. By taking these simple steps, you're investing in your health and well-being. You're reducing invisible risks that have been silently present, and you're creating an environment that truly supports your vitality as you age. Your body has served you faithfully for many years. It deserves a living environment that protects it rather than gradually wearing it down. The small efforts you make today to identify and eliminate these hidden sources of radiation can pay dividends in how you feel tomorrow, next month, and for years to come. Better sleep, fewer headaches, more energy, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing you've taken control of your environment, these are all within reach. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, if you found this information valuable and helpful, please subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss future videos where we discuss practical ways to protect your health and improve your quality of life. Second, share this video with friends and family members, especially other seniors who might not be aware of these hidden kitchen dangers. Knowledge shared is protection multiplied. Third, and most importantly, take action. Walk into your kitchen today with fresh eyes. Look at your microwave, your lighting, your countertops, your cookware, your wireless devices, and your dishware. Make a simple list of what needs attention. Then start checking items off that list, one by one. And finally, leave a comment below telling me which of these 6 items surprised you most, or which change you're planning to make first. I read every comment, and I love hearing about your experiences and questions. Your kitchen can be the heart of a healthy home. Let's make sure it stays that way. Thank you for watching, and here's to your health and safety.